Greetings, true believers, Gel Pal Spider-Man, and happy Saturday once again. Good to be back for another shave video with y'all. We're going to be continuing on with our Mystic Water shaves, because that's what we're doing for the month of April. One of my favorite soap makers, so I dedicated myself to using Mystic Water every single day this month, and I'm going to be using Lily of the Valley today. Which is one of my favorite scents, actually my favorite scent of all from Mystic Water, but one of my favorite scents of soaps all over. We're also doing the alphabet shaves on the Cadre, and today we're on Y. So I've got Lily of the Valley, and I'll be using my Yaki space brush, mysterious space brush. So we're gonna go ahead and get lathering with this. The only thing I don't like about this brush is that it is a fan shape. I really wanted to get this handle and was going to wait for the bulb shape, but when I went to place an order a while back from West Coast, all they had was the fan, and I kind of needed to add it to my order to, hit that free shipping. So went ahead and got it. I'm not really a fan, so to speak, of the fan shape knot, but it is what it is. It's going to work out for me a little bit at least. All right. Add a little bit of water to this. Nice thick lather, super slick. I know some people complained a while back about Mystic Water soaps being hard to lather. I've never had an issue lathering their soaps. But I know, especially people with harder water were saying that it was difficult. So Michelle modified her formula, added some citric acid to it, which makes it easier to lather in harder water. And ever since she changed her formula, I don't think I've seen anybody complain about the lathering abilities, but this is the old formula. This is one of the original pucks. I have a whole ton of her soaps from before she made the change, and actually I prefer slightly the old formula that doesn't have the citric acid in it. I don't know why, it actually lathers a little bit better for me. But I've moved several times, went through places with very hard water, and I've never had an issue with it. So I don't know why people had an issue. Razor today. I've kind of been going back through some of my older razors, ones that I haven't been using in a long time. Yesterday I used a Tech, one of my Gold Techs. And today we're going to be pulling out the Super Speed. Kind of been wanting to, ever since Gear Noir posted the video of his son's first shave, I've been kind of thinking about what razors to get my sons for when they start shaving. And kind of wanted to, initially you always think, oh, you're going to give somebody that's new a Tech or a Super Speed. But I also pulled out some other razors for them, like a Slim, that's date coded with their initial. So I've got, for each of my boys, I've got a Super Speed and a Slim that are both J coded because both of their names start with a J. And it's a J2 and a J4 because they are my second and fourth child. So that's the way I kind of did the razors. So since they are too young to get a birth year coded razor, I can at least make the date code a little bit more applicable to them. So I've kind of been taking these razors for another spin just to see for myself how they perform and see if they are acceptable to give to a brand new shaver. Make sure they're not too aggressive. For somebody that's never shaved before and really doesn't even have much in the way of facial hair. So I don't even know when they're going to start shaving. But I want to have stuff ready for them for when they are ready to start. Let that soak in a little bit. Also, since I've been pulling out some of these older razors, usually I just keep like a dozen or so razors on my counter, and I just kind of bounce back and forth between what's out here, and I rarely go into the deeper den and pull out other razors to use. But going back and pulling these out, I kind of been thinking of maybe starting up a new series. And I'm a big collector and I've got lots of razors, and a lot of them I just bought them to collect them. I've never ever used them, and I've been kind of thinking about going through and pulling some of those out and actually using them, trying them out, giving a quasi review of them. So let me know what you think about that, if you'd be interested in seeing something like that. We've been working on my garden this year. Last year was a nightmare. The garden got overtaken with weeds. I didn't know what I was doing, and I mulched around everything with straw, and that just brought in tons and tons of weed and weed seeds, and it got out of control way too fast and couldn't keep up with it, and eventually I just said screw it. The garden's a total loss. So this year we just let the weeds grow, let them die out and or dry out, and then we burned it down last fall. This spring, been thinking about what we want to do with it again and how we can make it successful and get rid of the weeds. So a few days ago I got my rototiller out and tilled up the whole garden. Now this is a giant garden. This is over 2,000 square feet. And that's not even counting like my flower beds and a few other areas. But we tilled it up, so now it looks nice and ready for planting. But if I don't do anything to it, all those weeds are just gonna come up again. So we bought some landscape fabric, cover the whole garden with the landscape fabric. Hopefully that will keep the weeds from coming up, kind of act like a greenhouse, and let everything that's underneath there bake and just kill everything off. And it's supposed to last a few years, up to like 10 years. So hopefully if we keep this on there for a few years, eventually everything under there will just get remulched and end up being some good garden soil in a few years. But we're still gonna poke some holes in the fabric, plant a few plants, and just see what happens. We're not gonna go crazy like we tried to last year and just planted a whole bunch of stuff, which if it all worked out, it would have been a nightmare and we would have been inundated with plants anyways. But we're planting a few of our favorites, especially tomatoes and peppers, some onions so we can make some salsa, a few other things, kohlrabies, okra, some squash. I've got some radish seeds that I'm going to plant, but trying to keep it easy, but we'll see. Moving on to aftershave. We've had some talk on the forum recently about Florida water. So I thought I would dig out Florida water for a tiny scent comparison. I was gonna say experiment, but it wasn't really an experiment. So let me clean off my brush real quick. The discussion was this. Tony had brought up the Peruvian Florida water, and Dave asked, well, what's the difference between Florida water and the Peruvian Florida water? I've never done a side-by-side comparison. I've used them both in the past, but not together, not to compare them, just individually, randomly. So I don't really know what one smells like compared to the other one. I'm pretty well familiar with the regular Florida water, which I got right here. And I use this frequently. I've got a lot of this. I bought a glass bottle, and then I just buy the big, tall refill bottle. This is 7.5 ounces. I think the refill bottle is like 22 ounces. And so whenever this needs a refill, I just fill it back up with that one. And it's a little bit cheaper to buy the big refill that way. So I have a sample that I received a while back of the Peruvian. Now, I did look up the scent notes for the two formulas, and they're exactly the same. They both have the same fragrance oils in them, which is bergamot, neroli, lemon, cloves, cinnamon, lavender, rose, and orange flowers. So, they should smell roughly the same, in the same ballpark. I did hear somebody make a comment that the Peruvian is sweeter. So we're going to check it out and see if that's the only difference. I'm going to try to very carefully just apply one product to one hand, apply it to one side of my face and one of my arms, and I'll use my arm as the smelling test bed. So we're going to just do half. Now, I believe, I can't remember if I did or not, I believe I might have put a couple drops of glycerin in this, because it is 75% alcohol, which is a lot, and there's nothing in it. It's technically a cologne, as you can see on the label. So the only thing in there is alcohol, water, and fragrance. There's nothing really in there for your skin. There's nothing in it that makes it a good aftershave, except that it is going to be an astringent. It's going to help close up pores, tighten up little weepers, cuts, things like that. And, help sanitize your face, get rid of anything that's in there. So I'm going to get the Peruvian now. This one is definitely untouched. I do notice a teeny bit more sting. Not very much, but a teeny bit more sting. It does smell slightly sweeter. And I'm sure I probably just jacked up this completely by putting it on my face, because now I probably got that in my nose, so if I go to smell my arms, it's tainted. Forever tainted. Anyways. So Florida water is kind of weird. If you've never had it, like, everybody's description is a little bit different and a little bit off. Some people say it smells like those gummy cola bottles, which I can definitely get that. I don't think it smells perfectly like that, but it's definitely similar. You really can't pick out the different individual notes. Like, initially, when you first apply it, it is kind of bright and citrusy. So the bergamot, neroli, lemon, those kind of come out right away. And then after that, the cinnamon and cloves is definitely there. And kind of in the dry down, you got lemon and cloves. I don't really ever get the lavender, the rose flower, the orange flower ever individually. They're just kind of mixed in, but you can't really pick them out. This definitely is a bit sweeter, the Peruvian, but it's almost, I almost want to say it's a bit darker. It's a bit stronger. Now I can, on further dry down, I almost wanted to say I could smell the lavender. I'm getting a little bit of floral scent now. I don't know if it's the same scents, just maybe in a different order. Like, maybe there's more something in it than this one. Like, the proportions of the oils are just different. This one definitely smells stronger. Like, it's a much... This one is dying down a lot. Now it is just very lavender and florally kind of smelling, which I didn't think the cinnamon and clove burnt off that quickly before. But this one still smells very strong. Like, the dry down isn't there yet. Like, it still kind of has that cola bottle-ish smell. It's just kind of weird, the difference between them. They're both good. I guess it'd just be they're very similar, it's just different. Like, it'd just be personal preference on which one you like better. That was all alcohol. I think maybe almost a little bit of lavender with that, but yeah, hasn't dried down yet. So now I got real bright citrus coming off. So yeah, definitely you get the citrus first, then you get the spice, and then you get a little bit of the floral undertone at the end. That's kind of weird. Okay, now this one's starting to dry down a little bit. Now the cinnamon and cloves are kind of taken to the front. So this one, I don't know if it almost seems like maybe the proportions are the same within each individual ingredient, but I would wager that the Peruvian has more fragrance oil in general. Like, the fragrance scent component is a higher percentage in the Peruvian rather than the Florida water. That's what I think the difference is. And I think maybe that's why it comes off as sweeter smelling, is because it's just stronger. Now, maybe there's little differences between some of the ingredients, I don't know, but it seems to be behaving the same way, but it's definitely darker. And when I mean darker, I mean like bolder and stronger smelling. I don't know. That's just my guess. I don't have any of the specifics. I don't even know if I'd be able to research that and find out the details and see what the actual difference is between them. But they are similar. They're cut from the same cloth. They're just a little bit different from each other. So really, if you've tried one, you don't really need to go out and rush out and try the other one. But if you really, really like Florida water, I think it's well worth it to try to get the Peruvian and just see what the difference there is, and see if you might like that one really better. But if you've used Florida water and you're just kind of like, it's okay, definitely don't need to go out and find the Peruvian. It's similar enough that if you know what Florida water smells like, then you pretty much know what the Peruvian version smells like. So there you go. That's my review. We'll see you guys later on the Cadre. I know we are going to be doing probably another Zoom call this week. Not sure if I'll be on this week, if we do it on a Wednesday, because that's my birthday, and I don't know if I'm going to have other plans that evening. But hopefully we'll be able to see you all then, and join us on the Cadre if you're looking for a place to hang out. Great group of guys there, a few girls, pop in every now and then, but it's just a good place to hang out, talk with some friends, and our Zoom calls are really, really fun, so join up so you can get the details on that, and we'll see you guys on the forum later.